I feel sorry for the Prince of Wales, chums. I really do. I think Prince William and Catherine really represent us very well on the global stage.
A new headline, a new book, a new bombshell. This time the claim is about Prince William, that he has a temper, that people around him are concerned, that anger management has been, and I want you to sit with this phrase for a moment, suggested. It landed on schedule. It generated the clicks it was designed to generate. And it will, in the coming days, be repeated in various forms across various platforms until it becomes, through sheer repetition, something that feels like an established fact. There is just one thing I want to ask before we accept any of it. Who is this actually coming from? Why now? And what does it serve? Because I can tell you, from people who work closely with the Prince of Wales, people who have been in those rooms and around that man over a sustained period of time, that the specific claim being made is not accurate. Nobody has suggested anger management to William. Nobody. So let's talk about what this headline really is, where it comes from, and why it matters that we call it out. What the headline is doing. Every book about the royal family follows the same commercial logic. You have material. Some of it is interesting. Some of it is contextual background that fills pages and builds atmosphere. And then, because the publisher requires it, because the marketing team demands it, you need the line. The one thing that will generate a headline, the shock claim that makes people feel they are getting access to something genuinely revelatory. It does not need to be dramatic in reality. It just needs to sound dramatic in a headline. Anger management suggested for William sounds dramatic. It implies instability. It implies that people around him are worried. It implies a man who cannot control himself, who needs professional intervention, who is perhaps not quite the steady, capable future king that his public image projects. None of that is true, but all of it is implied, and that implication, not stated outright, deniable if pressed, but absolutely present in the framing, is the product being sold. This is how certain corners of the royal book industry operate. It is not journalism, it is commerce wearing journalism's clothes, and William, right now, is the commercial target. The truth about William's temperament. Let me be straightforward with you about what I actually know. William is not a man without edges. He is not endlessly patient, endlessly calm, endlessly unaffected by the things that would affect any person in his position. He gets irritated. He gets short. When things are not done, when communication fails, when the same problem surfaces for the third time because someone did not flag it the first time, he reacts. Does that make him unusual?
Recently we've had information come out about how much rent he pays, etc. That's because, of course, of the kickback recently about the peppercorn rents.
Does that make him someone who needs intervention? I would suggest that describes most people who carry significant responsibility, who manage large teams, and who are simultaneously processing the kind of personal and institutional pressures that William has been living with for the better part of a decade. His wife, the cancer diagnosis, the public ordeal of her treatment and recovery, his brother's ongoing campaign, his uncle's ongoing disgrace, the full weight of an institution that is navigating more turbulence than at any point in recent history. Add to that, he is the next king of the United Kingdom. Every decision he makes, every word he says, every reaction he has in public or semi-public is observed, recorded, interpreted. If under all of that, he occasionally gets short with someone who has not returned a call or has failed to deliver what was asked of them, I think that is, to put it simply, entirely understandable. Catherine, by all accounts, operates differently, more measured, more inclined to talk it through, less reactive in the moment, which means they balance each other well, as functional partnerships tend to do. But balance does not sell books. Anger management does. The pattern, and why this moment. The timing of this story is not random. These things rarely are. Think about what has been happening in the weeks before this headline appeared. Meghan Markle traveled to Australia, and the results were, to put it charitably, significantly below expectations. The lifestyle event struggled, the Invictus funding fell through, the coverage was not what was anticipated. The response, in the aftermath of that, follows a pattern we have seen before. When the Sussex brand takes a hit, stories that redirect attention, that pull focus back toward the institution, toward William specifically, tend to surface. It is not always coordinated, it is not always deliberate in the way a conspiracy requires. But there is an ecosystem of writers, commentators, and publications whose content serves certain narratives, and when those narratives need reinforcement, material appears. The pen at the coronation, remember that? King Charles, frustrated with a leaking pen, expressing the entirely human irritation that all of us would feel in that moment. It was turned into a character study, a sign of temper, a pattern of behavior. William's occasional short-temperedness, perfectly understandable and by all accounts quickly resolved, is now being subjected to the same treatment. One pattern, one playbook, applied again. William and Catherine, what they're actually doing. Here is what I think gets lost in stories like this one. While a book is being sold on the back of a claim about anger management classes that nobody has actually suggested, William and Catherine are getting on with the job.
For instance, that the Duke and Duchess of York were paying on Royal Lodge, right? So again, we're getting a lot more information.
Catherine's recent engagement, the kind of appearance that generates genuine warmth, genuine public connection, genuine impact, was exactly what it looked like. A woman who is good at this work, who has recovered from something serious, and who is showing the world that she is back with clarity and purpose. William's public engagements have continued. The charitable work, the institutional responsibilities, the careful preparation for a role that will one day be his, all of it ongoing, steady, largely unspectacular in the best possible sense. They have also, quietly, changed how they communicate, less reliance on traditional media, more direct control of their own narrative, pictures released on their terms, statements made when they choose to make them, a deliberate shift away from the model that made them vulnerable to exactly the kind of story we are discussing today. That is not the behavior of a man who needs anger management. That is the behavior of someone who has watched how media works, understood the game, and decided to play it on different terms. The smear campaign. What it tells us. Let's call this what it is. There is a sustained effort, not always visible, not always coordinated, but consistent over time, to undermine William's public image, to introduce doubt about his fitness for the role he was born into, to create a parallel narrative in which he is flawed in ways that are disqualifying rather than simply human. It serves specific interests, it benefits specific people, and it tends to intensify at moments when the Sussex brand needs protecting or rehabilitating. The Penn story served that purpose during the coronation period. This story serves that purpose now, in the aftermath of Australia. Knowing that does not make the headlines disappear, but it does allow you to read them with the appropriate level of skepticism. William is not perfect. He has never claimed to be. He is a man doing an extraordinarily difficult job under extraordinary scrutiny, who occasionally gets short-tempered about things that would make most of us short-tempered, and who has the self-awareness to know when he has crossed a line. That is not someone who needs a referral. That is someone who is, against considerable odds, holding the line. The next time a headline appears with a specific, striking claim about a senior royal, pause for a moment before accepting it. Ask who wrote it. Ask what they are selling. Ask whether the claim is attributed to anyone or whether it floats in the comfortable anonymity of sources say, and it has been suggested. Ask whether the timing of the story aligns with something else that is happening in the royal world that might benefit from a distraction, and then decide how much weight to give it. In this case, based on what I know from the people I know about the man being described, the answer is very little. Drop your thoughts below. I always want to know whether you see these stories the same way or whether you think there is something here I am missing. Like this video if it helped you see past the headline. Subscribe if you want the version of events that goes one level deeper. Take care. See you very soon.